Well, we are over an hour, and we do have a main topic for the month. But as we alluded to earlier, it sort of ties in with Dead Space because I think both of us had the had the experience of finding it possibly too hard and maybe frustrating. We thought we'd just quickly talk about gaming difficulty, and this does seem to come up quite often. You know, whether it's the Souls-like type games with people asking them to put in difficulty options, partly for accessibility, that sort of thing. But I thought it was worth us talking about, you know, what we usually play on, what sort of difficulty we usually play on. You know, if we find challenge fun, anything we found too hard, too easy, that sort of stuff. So you mentioned, yeah, your Dead Space experience. I think you mentioned something else as well, didn't you? Another game earlier.
Yeah, it feels like this topic's going to end on a really positive message, like our previous topic where we ended it with saying there's no such thing as bad games. Everyone likes different games, so just enjoy what you enjoy doing. So I think it's going to be a similar message at the end of this one. Just looking forward. However, yes, Dead Space we both found quite hard, and I expressed my masculinity by dropping it down to easy difficulty so I could enjoy it. I didn't feel the urge to crack on with getting murdered time and time again for hours on end. I like to see where games go. Obviously, developers put a lot of effort into games, and it's nice to see where they go to. Plague Tale Requiem, like I said, was a perfect difficulty level on normal because it was difficult, it was challenging. You had to redo some bits over and over again, but it always felt achievable. And I think the prime difficulty level for me is where it feels achievable but challenging. It's a perfect balance between the two, and that varies by game. So some games normal is too difficult, some games normal is far too easy. So you've really got to give it a go and then adjust it to see what you feel the urge to do. And like most things, it all depends on mood, how much time you've got available, what other things you've got on the pipeline. Like if you're chucking 20 hours repeating the same thing in Dead Space and you're missing out on playing lots of other games and you're missing seeing where Dead Space actually goes. So I didn't feel bad at all by dropping to easy for a little while just to make some progress. And I think you were tempted to do the same, weren't you? But I'm not sure if you actually went to easy. I think you soldiered on,
I
didn't you?
I soldiered on, although it was really like I was probably one death away from dropping it down. I had a few moments where I think I'd probably made some poor choices in terms of my inventory or sort of burning through things that I needed later on. But also I think not very good if I'm entirely honest. But yeah, I haven't yet had to, but it was an interesting. You said you had no hesitation in dropping down to easy. I think that's a very good position to be at because I think I probably should have given up sooner and taken the drop. But was there no part of you that was like, "Oh, I want to get through this"? Where do you find that balance? You said you wanted that challenge.
So I think when you take time away from something is good as well. So if you got really stuck on a particular battle sequence and there's no recent save point, it's just really, really annoying you, just go and play Fortnite for a while or go and play Kitten Simulator or what something else just to get your mind off it. Come back the next day
Read a
because
book.
sometimes, yeah, have a conversation, touch some grass, as Joshua likes to say. Yeah. So sometimes when you come back the next day, your competence level is rapidly increased, bizarrely, because you're in a better mood, you've got less tired fingers, you've eaten better, you've had a Red Bull, who knows? But some days, having a break and come back, you can actually continue on the same difficulty level. But when you come back the next day and you still can't complete the stupid area, then you might as well just drop down to a lower difficulty setting for the rest of the evening and just have a go. So yeah, I had a bit of a debate. I probably tried about 10 times the same scene, couldn't get past it, was getting no enjoyment out of it, and it was either giving up on the game completely, but being I was being contractually forced to play at least 4 hours, I thought, I need to drop down to easy here, otherwise I'm going to not enjoy it at all. And I was glad I did. So no regrets, don't look back in
Excellent.
anger, all that stuff, yeah.
Very, very wise. Yes, I was definitely soldiering on, but I've definitely dropped down to easy difficulty on other games, and I think specifically when it's story driven. I think for me the sort of satisfaction is to see what's happening next. So yes, it's it can be you want the challenge, you want some kind of challenge. I think in most games, if you're just kind of blazing your way through, there's maybe it sort of stops being engaging. But ultimately, yeah, if it's story based, you wanna see what happens. And we talked about how many great games there are, especially with the subscription services. There's plenty of other things you could be doing with those hours rather than, advancing one room and blowing yourself up.
Yeah, and also like the Plague Tale Requiem, a lot of it is about avoiding rats and destroying rats and
Yep.
lighting torches so that rats don't come near you. So if it did become too difficult, which it didn't because I'm really good at it, I'm just that good, then yeah, there's no point in just continually failing to destroy rats that you've already destroyed 1,000 times. You don't get any life bonuses. You're not going to put it on your tombstone that, yes, I destroyed those particular rats after destroying all those other rats. Unless I have a really tedious the rest of my life, in which case I'll make sure that goes exactly on my tombstone. Make a note of that, Giles, just in case. So yeah, if it's getting a bit samey, you're not getting anything new out of it, then like you said, in a story-driven game like that, then you want to see what's going to come next, because that's half the point of playing a game, is to see where it goes rather than just getting stuck and getting grumpy. Interestingly though, I read an article the other day about difficulty levels over the passage of time. So I think in the 90s and 80s, games were quite hard.
Mm.
And looking back, I can't remember many games on my Spectrum or even Amiga that I actually finished. Whereas these days, on the PC and Xbox and PlayStation, I finished most of the games I play. So something must have changed. I can't imagine I've got much better at them over the last 30 years because I'm old, fat, and my fingers are sausagey. But maybe it's that these days, with the different options for difficulty settings, that's definitely an improvement because you can pick the one that suits you. And I think in the old days, you used to play a game that you paid lots of money for. There probably wasn't another game coming out similarly for another few weeks/months. So you just had to keep going and going and going. And some of the games in the Spectrum and Amiga games were incredibly frustrating because you just kept dying and kept dying, but there was no other games to play, so you just kept dying until you stopped dying. So in the end, you got good at it, which I guess is a good life lesson. But these days, I prefer to have difficulty settings so you don't get quite so stuck. So interestingly, for the games of the month, for this month, it'll be interesting to see how difficult Chaos Engine is compared to Call of Duty Black Ops, if on the normal difficulty setting. And whether you can adjust the Chaos Engine to have a different difficulty, because I've got a feeling Chaos Engine is going to be really hard, and I get the feeling Call of Duty is probably going to be fine. So that'd be fascinating as well.
Yeah, it's a good point. I definitely remember playing the same level over and over again, and I think quite a few of those games weren't actually that long. You just played the same bit forever. And as a kid, maybe you didn't really notice, but as an adult, going back to some of these games, you're like, oh wow, there were kind of 5 worlds in this thing, and I probably never saw the third one. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing some older stuff. I think outside of story, I remember a friend of both of us, John Braid, I used to live with. I'd come home from work at lunchtime sometimes. We were very close to the office, and he'd be playing FIFA, probably like 98 or something back then. No, hang on. I owe something. And yeah, he'd be winning like 12-1, something like that. Just, cruising through, scoring these amazing goals. And I could never get it. And John, if you're listening, he has listened to some of our episodes. So hey, I hope you now can take the win, because I completely understand it now. There's me like challenging my way through, like scraping a kind of 1-1, or usually just getting battered by someone who was much better, getting increasingly stressed or increasingly like agitated during a lunch break of work. Surely what you want to do is relax, and John had found, I think, the perfect version of that for him. I mean, I personally, I still like a bit more of a challenge, but I definitely didn't enjoy getting walloped every game. So yeah, maybe there's some sense in that. If you're trying to get some enjoyment out of this hobby that we do, then make sure you're enjoying yourself.
It's interesting you mentioned FIFA, because every year with FIFA/EA FC 20 something, I go on career mode, where you create your own player and work your way up through the ranks. And I always find it ridiculously easy, annoyingly. So whatever difficulty level I'm on, it never provides much challenge at all. So within a few seasons, you've got all the way to the top and you've scored the winning goal for England. It's not that challenging. So that annoys me. I'd like the career mode in FIFA/EA Sports 24, EA Football 24, EAFC 24. Blimey, keep up, James, please. To be more difficult. So weirdly, some games are too difficult, and some games, especially sports games, sometimes are quite easy, I find. But it might just be because I'm good at sports games and awful at everything else. But who knows? So I mentioned earlier about Fortnite as well. So I play Fortnite for enjoyment, but I do like to do okay at it. Doesn't create a lot of enjoyment if you go into a ranked battle and within the first 5 seconds someone just headshotted you and that's the end of it. And you're like, that wasn't very exciting at all. So there's no obviously way of setting a difficulty level in Fortnite, but it kind of works it out for you. So that's another approach to gaming, isn't it? So in Fortnite, you can improve in the ranks by doing well in the ranked battle matches. So you gradually progress up through bronze, silver, gold, and then there's epic and ridiculous and knob or whatever the other levels are. So you only play against people who are similar levels to you, and it resets itself every season. So when a new season starts, you're all back at the bottom of bronze and you work your way back up again. So after a few weeks of each season, you generally will play against people who are at a similar level, which is quite nice. But again, you can tell that some people just play it 24/7, do nothing else with their lives. Awful people who just come and hit you on the back of the head and you get no enjoyment out of it at all. So again, 3 types of difficulty. Sports, far too easy. Some of the adventure games, especially those involving spaceships and with Japanese names, far too hard. And then Fortnite, it's a balance because you can sort of rank yourself against other people. And last one, because I mentioned we played a bit of Switch on our trip to Ringwood, and we played Sonic 2. And weirdly, I remember Sonic 2, or all the Sonics, not being that hard in the olden days. I thought, but maybe I just didn't play them much because I never had a Mega Drive. But this is really hard. And Joshua is really good at games and spends a decent chunk of time being good at everything. Is awful at it. So I don't know what happened there. It's a very basic side-scroller, Sonic, as you know. It's a bit more involved because you go through tubes and stuff. It's really hard. So me, Sarah and Joshua all played it, and none of us could get past like level 5. And there's like miles to go. We just couldn't get past it at all. It's too hard. We just kept drowning. Bizarre. So I don't know if it's because of the awful Switch control system. It's different than the old Mega Drive system, or whether the game is just really hard and we're really bad at it, and young people have got used to playing games that are easier these days. Who knows? But that really annoyed me because we just couldn't get past this level.
There we go. Well, yeah, you mentioned online, or you mentioned Fortnite. That is a whole world of games that I've sort of avoided, and mostly I used to play a bit more, but mostly that was because I was just terrible in comparison. So the idea of having sort of skill-based matchmaking of some kind is that would actually encourage me to play rather than just going in and getting my bum handed to me on a regular basis by some screaming American teenager. Hi to any American teenagers listening. We really value your attention. Thank you very much. Awesome, thank you, James. So we're saying generally, as you kind of trailed, some kind of hot take that play however you want to. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, like I said before, gaming's all about enjoying things, isn't it? There's no point in playing a game and hating every second of it and persevering for no good reason, apart from talking about it on the podcast. So you've got to get some enjoyment out of it. So therefore, play on whatever difficulty level you find enjoyable. Give it a go. If you want to drop it, great. If you want to put up to make it more difficult, great. That's the whole point of the difficulty level settings. So just do you. I always wonder in those like how long to beat type websites where it says the game takes 8 hours, whether people would put it on baby level or something, that's why it takes 8 hours, and we're playing on grown up level, and that's what it takes us like 3 or 4 times as long as it should do. So I'm sure it's not because we're awful at it. It's probably just because everyone else is cheating, like Joshua always says. Or they're on really easy level. Who knows?
Let's end on that positive thought, James. I think probably we might be kidding ourselves, but sometimes delusion is a nice place to live, isn't it? Excellent.